Welcome to our segment on the Nevada Green Business Network. We are a coalition of organizations that came together to offer a statewide green business certification program. We work with small to medium businesses to recognize efforts that save energy and water, reduce waste, prevent pollution and stormwater impacts, and encourage sustainable transportation options. Our hope for the program is to educate and assist businesses in these areas and help the state transition to a green economy. To learn more about the program, you can visit nvgreenbusiness.org or click here to watch a short video about the network. Today we have the opportunity to speak to someone whose law firm has become a certified Innovator Tier Nevada Green Business. Lara Pearson is here today to speak about Brand Geek and her experience with the Nevada Green Business Program. Hi Lara, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, I appreciate it.
So to get started, will you tell us a little bit more about Brand Geek, its history, and the type of legal services that you provide?
So Brand Geek is an intellectual property law firm focusing on what we call soft intellectual property. So I don't handle any patents. I handle primarily trademarks. I do some copyright work and some trade secret protection work. And then a lot of what I call brand protection strategy. So some of that isn't even necessarily legal work. It can be just consulting with clients about how their brand is appearing in the marketplace and different things that they want to use, whether it's someone else's brand that they want to partner with, or if it's someone else's brand that they want to mimic, just helping clients make sure that they're taking care of the legalities when it comes to brands and brand protection. And then as far as my green business credentials, or whatever you would call them, my law firm became certified as a B Corporation back in 2008. February of 2008. So the B Corp certification actually started in December of 2007. So I was the second law firm worldwide to have become certified back in February of 2008. And actually prior to that, my law firm became a member of 1% for the Planet, which back at that time was only businesses that were donating 1% of annual gross revenue to environmental nonprofits. And those nonprofits have to be pre-approved by 1% for the Planet. The last time I actually sought to have one of the nonprofits to which I donate become approved, the criteria was that 50% or more of their activities were focused towards the environment, environmental protection and preservation.
So Brand Geek achieved the highest and most advanced tier in the program. And you've mentioned, B Corporation and 1% for the Planet. Can you talk a little bit about the sustainable policies you have in place on the building level?
So actually, when I first became a certified B Corporation back in February of 2008, there was one version of the survey. And so if you were like me, at that point actually I had an office that was outside of my home. Now I work from home. And the B Corp survey used to be very geared more towards larger companies. So it asked a lot about your landscaping, which we probably wouldn't even have in Tahoe even if I owned the building.
Right.
But it asked about a lot of things like retrofitting buildings, or did they have solar, or just things that, at that point as a renter, one little renter in a big building I had no control over.
Yeah.
Now working from home, I have a little bit more control, but I live in a condo, so I can't put solar panels on the roof.
I know. You mentioned that too.
Yeah. But it's really, it's more challenging. But now Nevada Energy has a premium that you can pay to have essentially solar, they're essentially offsets, but nonetheless, I pay a premium on my electric bill each month, and then I get to be, fully 100% renewable energy. Yep. So I did that now, as far as my building goes, and all of my lights are LED, and we're actually this year going to get a Southwest Gas has a small, $225 or $255 rebate for tankless water heaters.
Right.
So we're going to do that by the end of the year this year. I tried to figure out how to measure my water output and intake and output, but in this condo it's just impossible. The device is thousands of dollars to do it. So instead, we're just, counting flushes, which seems very silly. Yep. How many times a day do you use the restroom while you're working? And it's a little more challenging. Again, I worked at home prior to the pandemic, but it is still, more challenging to distinguish. When I do my annual offsets of energy and travel, et cetera, I just do everything. Most of my activity involves business. And so I offset just actually 210% of all of my energy from the home, the whole home. 210% of my travel emissions, whether it's auto or air, Remember that when we used to fly on airplanes?
Way back when?
And then other things, you know, when I first started, it was really like, we were in an outside office, and the reason I had gotten the outside office was I was litigating, and the amount of paper that goes into litigation, or comes out of it, or however you word it, would no longer fit in my garage. And so myself and my coworker got an office, and we ended up getting a couple more employees and managing this massive litigation in federal court in Reno. And then we started to realize, oh, we could double-sided print. And then we realized, like, paper is expensive. I mean, not only is an office to hold the whole thing very expensive, but the paper itself is expensive. Right. Ink, oh my Lord.
Yep.
So we just started looking at ways that we could reduce our impact, but the majority of those also enabled us to save money, which is the beauty about sustainability.
Yeah.
A lot of times there's an upfront expense, but it's, you know, long-term payoff, so it's worthwhile.
What are some environmental challenges that you're still struggling with, and what are you doing to kind of address those challenges?
The biggest one the pandemic solved,
Yes.
which was travel.
Yes.
Because I love to travel. But yeah, air travel was a big one. I think one of the aspects of B Corp is you have to, well, they encourage you to have a handbook. Now, when you're a one-person shop, it seems very silly. So we have a whole slew of policies and procedures that I did just in practice that I now have written down. And I think that was actually one of our big hurdles. Like, without my colleague Sarah Blankhorn from Leverage Lab, who helped me with this and like was a consultant for me on it this year, I would never have that handbook. It's awesome to have something now that I can share with other law firms. And I think that was one of our challenges, was like documenting all of the procedures. I think the other thing is just, you know, trying to find more ways to have impact. Because as a solo, there's you know, like a finite amount I can do. Like now all my energy is as renewable as possible. Once we get this water heater, will be as, you know, like there's not within our budget. Like I can't rebuild my condos.
No.
I can't. I'm not getting on the board of the homeowners association. No. So my like I'm sort of limited as a one woman shop as to the impact I can have apart from that of my client base. But I look at some of these companies that are, you know, big companies, and I just think, like, especially with their brand, it seems like every B Corp law firm should be a B Corp, you know, like, especially the ones that are protecting the brand, because the brand is what is the public face. The brand is like how we interact with that enterprise, and that's, you know, if the brand is soulful and has a multiple bottom line mission, then it seems like the brand protector should also be soulful. I'm not saying that all B Corps should use Brand Geek as their trademark attorney. I welcome it. I'm not saying that that's required, but use a B Corp or use a similarly, you know, someone whose values aligned. Like, big law firms are really good at marketing, but that doesn't mean that they understand the company, the values, or that they share them. And the impact that we have is greater in the aggregate. Like, you know, we can do way more as two as we can as one. We can do way more as five as we can as two. And it's exponential impact as every time we partner up with each other. So,
Lara, you've been an active environmentalist for a long time. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience with B corporations and 1% for the Planet? Because you played a pretty big role in all of that.
My law firm became a member of 1% for the Planet in January of '06. And I actually became a member because I'd read Yvonne Chouinard's book, Let My People Go Surfing, which I totally recommend everyone read. One of the best business books out there. And so I read that book, and I realized that my law firm, the world's not going to wait, the planet can't wait for my law firm to become profitable. Because at that point, I'd opened my firm in '02, and I wasn't profitable in '06. But I'd always tied, like, giving away money to profitability. I thought, you can't give away, like, what you don't have. But you can, because 1% for the Planet is gross revenue, not profits. And in Yvonne's book, one of the things he said was profitability always follows doing the right thing. And so I just thought, I'm going to trust that. So I joined 1% for the Planet, and they actually, when they sent me the license, I was like, I'll sign this, but I don't think it's right. Like, it doesn't, you know, as an IP attorney, I think this is not only incorrect, but it's also dangerous. And I explained why and said, I'm happy to fix it, you know, on a pro bono basis. And so they sent me this license. I rewrote it. It took like 4.5, 5 months. And then as soon as we were done, they were like, oh, we were going to have this chapter in the Tetons. Can you write this one too? And I was like, absolutely. And I'd like to join the board of directors if I'm going to take on this kind of role. And so I joined the board of directors of 1% for the Planet and served on that, which was amazing, from '06 until '09. And I remember at the first board meeting was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming at the Chenard's Ranch. And Yvonne and another one of the board members at the time, John McMahon, picked me up at the airport, and I was so excited. I couldn't believe, like, here I am about to get off the airplane, and my hero is picking me up to take me to his house. It was astounding. So that board membership had then kind of led into me joining Social Venture Circle, formerly known as Social Venture Network, becoming a certified B Corporation, and then helping B Corporation get to know the folks at Patagonia from my work with 1%, get to know the folks at New Belgium Brewing Company that I also knew through Patagonia, and it's really actually opened a lot of doors. And helped me help other businesses as well as my own. Sometimes I'll have clients that come that are doing the right thing, but they have no like me, they have no formalization to it, and they don't even know about B Lab, they don't know about B Corps, they don't know about 1% for the planet. Excuse me. So I love sharing that and helping businesses find their way to those communities, because that's the other thing, is it's always a community of the coolest people that you'd want to hike with or bike or climb.
True. Why were you interested in becoming a certified green business, and what was your overall experience like with the program?
I think it was Madonna Dunbar up in Incline who first said, "Hey, you should do this." and so there was a program for a while called Keep the Sierra Green, I think it was Keep the Sierra Green that I joined, and then the League to Save Lake Tahoe has a Tahoe Blue Business program that I had joined, but neither of those, and not to discredit either of them. The Keep the Sierra Green didn't last very long. Like, it came and it went. The Blue Business Program, I haven't been very active with. Like, they just didn't. There wasn't a lot of follow through. So when Madonna said, "Hey, you should check this out," number one, Donna Walden, oh my goodness, wonderful human being. If she suggests something, or Madonna says there's a chance to be involved with Donna, then I'm going to jump at that opportunity. But also, I think we lead by example, and I think especially living at Tahoe, I moved there to play outside and to be in nature, and so everything I can do to preserve it through my business, through my my personal activities, that's important to me. And so when there was this program and Madonna said, "Check it out," it was like, oh yes, of course. I want to be able to be one of the leaders in the community and show people that you can do this, whether you're a law firm, you can do this. I think a lot of people, like I said, that first B Corp survey was so geared towards massive product manufacturers. I'm like, I don't have landscaping. I don't have a supply chain, really. It would be the paper people, but now it's my partner, Stephen, I guess. Like, as a professional service provider, that at that time I did have employees, but now that doesn't have employees except for myself, there's just not a lot of things you can do. And I felt like Nevada Green Business Program, that there was more, like you guys were offering a lot of support and solutions, not just like, hey, here, measure your impact, but then it was also like, oh, if there's something that you're not excelling at, if there's a category that you're not excelling at, you called me and were like, hey, what about this? And how can we support you? And what do you need from us? And a lot of the certifications, B Lab included, are, you get certified. And B Lab's gotten a lot better. Like, when that first survey, there was no best practices. Now every single question has best practices, and they have a improve your score report, and there's lots of things, but it's still hands off. You can generate, they have AI tools that will now generate solutions, but it's not humans. So this was super nice because it's local, or regional, and then you and Donna, there's humans. Yay, humans.
That's true. Yeah. If you'd like to learn more about Brand Geek, you can go to nv.greenbiztracker.org. Lara has her profile there with her social media, her website, and contact information. Thank you, Lara.
Thank you. Everyone stay safe and healthy.